The 70s were a vibrant mix of bold fashion, scientific inventions, unforgettable music, and pure, unfiltered fun. Sure, disco balls and bell-bottoms may be the first things that come to mind, but there's so much more to the story. Welcome to Days Gone By, as we look back at 40 things you'll instantly remember if you grew up in the 1970s. Let's dive in. Bell-bottom jeans, snug on the thighs and flaring from the knee, are timeless symbols of rebellion and style. Their story begins in the 1800s when American sailors wore wide-legged trousers, and they were elevated to fashion icon status by hippie culture during the 1960s and 70s. The 1970s marked the peak of bell-bottoms, dominating disco fashion with vibrant colors and dramatic flares. Variations like loon pants emerged, defining the era's nightlife. Though skinny jeans replaced them later, bell-bottoms resurfaced in the 1990s and remain a fashion staple today. Mood rings, introduced in 1975 by New York entrepreneurs Josh Reynolds and Maris Ambatz, quickly became a popular accessory and a hallmark of 70s culture. These rings claim to reveal the wearer's mood by responding to changes in body temperature, reflecting different colors that supposedly correspond to emotions. Green indicated normalcy, black signaled stress, blue suggested calm, purple represented happiness or passion, and gray hinted at nervousness. Though mood rings only lasted 2 to 5 years, they remain a nostalgic icon of individuality and self-expression. Selling for $3.95, the pet rock became an instant hit during the holiday season in 1975 as a collectible toy. By the end of the year, Doll had sold over 1.5 million rocks and become a millionaire. While its popularity was short-lived, the pet rock remains a nostalgic symbol of that clever 70s marketing. Disco music, which took over in the 1970s, became the soundtrack of an entire generation. Rooted in African-American communities, it blended funk, soul, and TSOP, creating beats that were perfect for dancing. Artists like James Brown and Motown helped shape the style. But by 1976, acts such as Donna Summer, the Bee Gees, and Earth, Wind & Fire were leading the charge. However, many rock fans, particularly straight white male rockers, saw disco as a threat to their music and culture. The backlash reached extreme levels, with even the Bee Gees receiving death threats. Despite this, disco left a lasting impact on music, dance, and social movements. Tie-dye became a defining fashion trend in the 1970s, linked to the counterculture movement. It represented freedom, peace, and self-expression during the anti-war protests. The bold colors and patterns of tie-dye also captured the vibe of the era, influenced by music and art. Bands like the Grateful Dead helped popularize it, and tie-dye quickly became a staple at events like Woodstock. It was also embraced by the DIY movement, with many people making their own designs. Celebrities like Janis Joplin wore tie-dye, solidifying its place in fashion. Today, tie-dye remains a symbol of individuality and rebellion. In the 1970s, the afro was the ultimate hairstyle for black hair, celebrated for its bold volume and natural curls. It symbolized black pride and resistance, challenging racism and discrimination. As the decade progressed, the afro started to fade from the spotlight, but it still left a lasting impact on fashion and culture. The 1970s brought a shift in family TV shows. The Brady Bunch depicted a blended family, with a widowed father and mother merging their families, showcasing evolving family dynamics. MASH combined comedy and drama set during the Korean War. It balanced humor with serious themes about the impact of war, becoming one of TV's most influential shows with a record-breaking final episode. Saturday morning cartoons in the 1970s were a beloved tradition, offering a mix of entertainment and education. Iconic shows like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, and Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour showcased blended humor that appealed to both kids and adults. Released on May 25, 1977, Star Wars didn't just change cinema, it created a whole new universe. Directed by George Lucas, it introduced a galaxy filled with unforgettable characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. The film's groundbreaking special effects, captivating storytelling, and innovative visuals set new standards for filmmaking. Its legacy endures, influencing pop culture, inspiring new generations, and cementing itself as one of the greatest films ever made. In 1975, Steven Spielberg unleashed Jaws, the first summer blockbuster that forever changed how we viewed the ocean. This terrifying thriller didn't just introduce people to a massive man-eating shark. It instilled a deep fear that kept a whole generation of kids out of the water. Every trip to the beach became a tense game of shark watch. Jaws didn't just terrify children, it turned a fun day at the beach into a nerve-wracking adventure. The disco ball became a symbol of the 1970s, lighting up dance floors and clubs like the Loft in New York City. It created a magical atmosphere with its glittering reflections. Inspired by its effect, Nicky Siano installed one in his famous club, The Gallery. As disco fever spread, the disco ball became a must-have in dance halls and discotheques. Even after the disco era ended in the late 1970s, the disco ball endured due to events like Disco Demolition Night and societal shifts. On September 25, 1970, at 8:30, The Partridge Family premiered on ABC, quickly becoming a cultural sensation. Inspired by the real-life Cowsill family, the show masterfully blended catchy music with lighthearted family dynamics. The series not only dominated television from 1970 to 1974, but also topped pop charts with hits like I Think I Love You. The Partridge Family left a lasting mark as one of the 1970s most iconic TV shows. In the 70s, no gym class was complete without tube socks pulled up to the knees. These socks became a trend in the late 60s and carried through the 70s, worn by skaters, athletes, and everyday kids. Their bold stripes and knee-high length made them a fashion statement that everyone wanted to be part of. Whether on the field or in school, tube socks were everywhere. By the 80s, the trend faded, and by the 90s, they were almost non-existent. Though rare today, a few brands still try to revive the iconic sock that defined the 70s style. In 1972, Atari's Pong changed the game, literally. For kids of the 70s, this simple two-dimensional video game wasn't just entertainment, it was a glimpse into the future. Inspired by table tennis, the gameplay involved a white dot bouncing between two paddles, represented by vertical white lines. While its visuals seem primitive today, Pong captivated an entire generation. In the 70s, 8-track tapes were more of a necessity than a choice. They were the main option for recording and playing music in cars. Unlike traditional recordings, 8 tracks had 4 programs instead of sides, which often interrupted songs when switching between them. This made listening to music a frustrating and clunky process. Though no one truly loved them, they became a key part of 70s life and paved the way for better music formats. Tupperware in the 70s wasn't just for storing food, it was something to show off. With its bold, vibrant colors, it became a lunchbox essential that kids were proud to display at school. Unlike today's more basic designs, Tupperware back then was stylish and playful, making it as much a part of the 70s culture as anything else. Kids didn't watch Happy Days for a glimpse of the 50s, they tuned in to see the Fonz. Fonzie became a pop culture icon, effortlessly stealing the spotlight with his slicked back hair, leather jacket, and confident swagger. Across the country, kids imitated his signature thumbs up and perfected their own "aye" with his iconic inflection. Shag carpeting wasn't just a flooring trend, it was a defining part of the 70s style. With colors like rust orange and sky blue, it covered living rooms across the country, adding a cozy laid-back vibe. Paired with floral print couches, the look was bold and inviting. In the 70s, clackers were a hit, two acrylic balls on a string that made a sharp clack when slammed together. But they were dangerous, with bits flying off when they broke. In 1976, the government banned them for safety reasons. The bowl haircut was a defining look of the 70s, inspired by Adam Rich from 8 is Enough. To get this style, all you had to do was place a bowl on your head and trim the edges around it, leaving a perfectly round shape. It was simple, easy to manage, and instantly became a hit with kids. Vintage Tiger Beat magazines were a must-have for every teenage girl in the 70s, filled with glossy photos of heartthrobs like David Cassidy and Leif Garrett. The magazine became the go-to source for all things teen idols. Tiger Beat didn't just share the latest gossip, it included iconic centerfold posters, making each issue a prized possession. Before the Macarena had everyone on their feet, there was the hustle. In 1975, Van McCoy's hit song demanded people to learn the dance or risk being left out of the fun. The hustle became a rite of passage for anyone in the 70s, and mastering it meant you were part of the vibrant disco scene. The Watergate scandal dominated headlines by revealing illegal activities by President Nixon's administration in the 70s. After burglars broke into the Democratic headquarters, investigations uncovered a cover-up. Nixon resisted releasing secret tapes, but they eventually implicated him. Facing impeachment, Nixon resigned on August 8, 1974, and was later pardoned. The 1976 bicentennial celebration marked 200 years of American independence with unmatched patriotic fervor. Cities across the nation came alive with parades, fireworks, and ceremonies, uniting communities in red, white, and blue. The bicentennial became a defining event of the 1970s. Elvis Presley's death in 1977 shocked the world, marking the end of a rock and roll era. Known as the King of Rock, Elvis had a voice and style that changed music forever. Fans everywhere mourned his loss, and his funeral became a moment of shared grief. In 1976, macrame became a must-have decor trend, turning homes into cozy bohemian havens. With intricate knotting techniques, it brought natural charm to interiors and reflected the DIY spirit of the era. When Saturday Night Live debuted in 1975, it became the talk of every household. If you couldn't stay up to watch, you'd beg older siblings or parents to recount the funniest moments. Even if the jokes went over your head, watching the hilarious clay figure Mr. Bill endure endless mishaps was pure genius. YMCA, the 1978 hit by Morali and Willis, quickly became one of the biggest songs of the decade. Its catchy chorus and fun vibe helped it reach number 2 on the US charts and top the charts in 15 other countries, including the UK. From Charlie's Angels to The Love Boat, Aaron Spelling brought the unforgettable TV hits of the 70s. Spelling's shows were pure entertainment, mixing drama, glam, and questionable choices in the most captivating way. Schoolhouse Rock made learning fun on Saturday mornings with its catchy songs. Hits like Conjunction Junction and 3 is a Magic Number taught lessons beyond the classroom lecture. Those animated shorts snuck in more knowledge than you might have learned in school, and their tunes stuck with you for years. In the 70s, the lunchbox was more than just a container for food. It was a status symbol. Kids flaunted lunchboxes with their favorite cartoons and pop stars, like the Flintstones or the Incredible Hulk. Having the right one could make or break your social standing. In the 1970s, walkie-talkies went from military gear to popular toys. Kids used them for games like cops and robbers or hide and seek, where communication was key. With prices ranging from $10 to $20, they became a fun and affordable way for kids to stay connected. Originally created by Hungarian inventor Erno Rubik as a teaching tool, it only became a brain-bending challenge when he scrambled it and couldn't solve it. By the late 70s, it was everywhere, turning kids into problem-solving pros. The 70s played a crucial role in spearheading women's rights. On January 22, 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Roe v. Wade, securing a woman's constitutional right to choose an abortion. This landmark decision shaped future legal cases on reproductive rights and personal autonomy. Before the 1980s, parents didn't use car seats. Moms would hold babies in the front seat. Crazy, right? Tennessee led the way in 1979 with the first law requiring kids to be properly secured. By 1986, all states had car seat laws, and by the early 2000s, booster seat laws followed. Today, using a car and booster seat is a must for every parent, no questions asked. Garlic bread became a hit in the 1970s, especially with pizza and family dinners. As Italian-American food grew popular, so did garlic bread, boosted by the carb-focused food pyramid. Brands like Kohl's Quality Foods helped it go from homemade to freezer-friendly. Soon it was a staple in pizzerias and Italian restaurants, often served with marinara sauce or a salad. The 1970s brought us fondue parties, a fun and interactive way to enjoy melted cheese or chocolate with friends. Originating in Switzerland, fondue hit it big in the US after the 1964 World's Fair and became a party favorite with its communal, laid-back vibe. These parties were all about fun, with no fancy rules, just a pot in the center and everyone digging in. The unusual spread, cheese fondue to start, followed by meat fondue, and finishing with chocolate fondue for dessert. Even today, fondue is a nostalgic favorite, bringing people together for a fun and flavorful experience. The 1973 energy crisis was a game-changer for American life, triggering gas shortages and reshaping how people drove. It all began with the Yom Kippur War when OPEC hit the U.S. with an oil embargo in retaliation for supporting Israel. Suddenly, oil prices shot up from $2.90 to $11.65 per barrel by January. This economic shock left a lasting impact on energy policies and daily routines. The Easy Bake Oven, launched in 1963, became a hit in the 70s. Kids loved baking real cakes with just a light bulb, and parents loved the safe design. Betty Crocker's baking mix made it even better, turning it into the ultimate holiday gift. Models in avocado green and harvest gold kept it stylish, while upgrades like timers and better heat systems made baking easier. By the 1970s, it wasn't just a toy, it was a kitchen icon that is still alive today. Have you ever wondered where the whole idea of environmental awareness as a significant movement in America came from? Well, your answer lies in 1970. Millions of Americans came together for the first Earth Day, sparking a nationwide movement for environmental awareness. It was a game changer, bringing issues like pollution and conservation into the spotlight. From rallies to cleanups, it marked the start of caring for the planet as a shared responsibility, a legacy that continues today. As we wrap up our journey through the unforgettable moments of the 1970s, we hope you've enjoyed the crucial occurrences that made this era so special. Want more? Dive into our next video for untold tales from the past. See you there.